Welcome to the Restricted Handling Podcast. Let's dig in. Here's what's been going on in Russia in the last 24 hours. Russia has quietly crossed an important threshold by fielding a new jet-powered long-range drone, the Geran-5, and actually using it in combat over Ukraine. This isn't just another Shahed with a fresh coat of paint. Ukrainian military intelligence says this thing carries a roughly 90-kilogram warhead, can reach about 1,000 kilometers, and is derived directly from Iran's interceptor drone. That's a big deal. The design lineage matters because this isn't just meant to hit buildings. Russia is experimenting with using it against aerial targets. They're looking at launching it from aircraft like the Su-25 and even strapping R-73 air-to-air missiles onto it. That's Russia saying, we want drones that hunt drones, and maybe aircraft too. It's the Cold War interceptor mindset, updated with Iranian tech and duct tape. Same instincts, new toys. This also fits the broader pattern we've been watching for years now. Russia leaning hard on foreign tech transfers and improvisation because domestic innovation just can't keep pace under sanctions and attrition. They're likely producing this domestically, probably tied into the same industrial ecosystem that's been churning out earlier Garans. But the DNA here is very clearly Iranian. Moscow is still acting like the Soviet Union, with fewer engineers and more telegram channels. All of that is happening while Russia keeps hammering Ukraine from the air. Over a single night, more than 150 drones were launched, and that's just one wave. Over the past week, Ukraine reports nearly 1,100 long-range drones, close to 900 guided glide bombs, and more than 50 cruise and ballistic missiles. This wasn't about hitting tanks or troop concentrations. This was about energy infrastructure and civilian systems, timed perfectly for freezing weather. Kiev alone has had more than 1,000 apartment buildings without heat for days. Power grids are being pushed to the edge. This is winter warfare, the old Russian playbook, updated for the drone age. Same concept Stalin would recognize immediately: freeze the population, break morale, let physics do the work. While Russia is doing that, Britain made a very loud and very deliberate move. London announced Project Nightfall, a fast-track effort to build ballistic missiles for Ukraine, with prototypes expected in about a year. These would be ground-launched, mobile, capable of firing multiple missiles quickly and reaching beyond 500 kilometers with a 200-kilogram warhead. That's not symbolic aid. That's deep strike capability, meant to survive Russian counterfire. It also quietly reduces Ukraine's dependence on the US for systems like ATAC-MS. Europe isn't just talking anymore, it's building. At the political level, European leaders are now publicly saying the framework for a ceasefire and post-ceasefire security guarantees exists. The message is blunt. Ukraine and its partners are aligned, and now it's Russia's move. The guarantees are layered. Ukraine's own military first, backed by European equipment and sustainment, reinforced by a coalition of willing states, with the US playing a verification and backstop role. There's also a parallel push on long-term economic recovery planning. Whether Moscow cares is another matter, but the structure is there. Ukraine, meanwhile, continues to do what it can with long-range strikes, and the Caspian Sea is no longer the quiet backwater Moscow once assumed it was. Ukrainian drones hit multiple Lukoil drilling platforms again, including Filanovsky and Korchagin fields. These platforms have been struck repeatedly since December. The intent is obvious: reduce Russia's oil revenue and remind Moscow that distance is no longer protection. Ukraine also struck a Buk M3 air defense system in occupied Luhansk, logistics depots in Kherson, and an oil depot in Russia's Volgograd region. Inside Russia, Voronezh was hit hard by Ukrainian drones, killing at least one civilian. That city is hundreds of kilometers from the front. The war is not staying neatly boxed. On the ground, Russia keeps pushing across multiple axes, but it's the same grinding pattern. Localized advances near places like Borova, Pokrovsk, Kostiantynivka, Huliaipol, and parts of Zaporizhzhia. Heavy use of drones. Infiltration teams probing for weak points. Ukrainian officials say Russian forces inside Kupiansk are down to a few dozen soldiers, with Ukrainian positions blocking a full river crossing. No breakthrough, just pressure. It's attrition warfare, with FPV drones replacing massed artillery in many sectors. The human cost on Russia's side continues to climb, especially among its leadership and elite units. At least 19 Russian generals have now been confirmed killed since the invasion began. These aren't just unlucky colonels standing too close to the front. We're talking about senior operational planners, commanders, even deputy chiefs. Add to that more than 6,000 confirmed deaths among elite troops: airborne, Marines, special forces, pilots, internal security units. These are the people Russia spent years and serious money training. You don't just print more of those, no matter how many mobilization decrees you sign. Inside Russia, the cracks are visible if you're looking. A senior Russian Guard official was arrested for large-scale fraud, skimming bonus payments from subordinates. That's not exactly shocking, but it's telling that these cases are surfacing more often during wartime. The security services also claimed they stopped a planned attack on a railway bridge in Perm territory, complete with explosives and surveillance equipment. Whether every detail holds up or not, it shows the level of internal paranoia and vulnerability around infrastructure. Then there's Chechnya. Ukrainian intelligence reports that Ramzan Kadyrov is seriously ill with kidney failure and has been hospitalized for weeks, with succession discussions quietly underway. Several potential replacements are being floated, including close associates and family members. Kadyrov hasn't been seen publicly since late December. For Moscow, this matters. Kadyrov has been a pillar of Kremlin control in the North Caucasus, equal parts warlord, influencer, and enforcer. Uncertainty, there's not something the Kremlin likes, especially during a major war. And finally, Russia's maritime reality is catching up with it. Russian military analysts are now openly admitting the Navy can't protect oil tankers from foreign seizures. Aging ships, stalled modernization, limited reach. The Black Sea fleet is degraded. Caspian assets are getting hit by drones. Escorting tankers across oceans is effectively off the table. Russia still exports oil, but the idea of a confident blue water navy defending those routes is, at this point, more nostalgia than capability. Think Soviet parade energy with modern-day maintenance budgets. Thanks so much for listening and for being part of the RH community. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribing, leaving a quick 5-star review, or sharing it with someone you know makes a huge difference. It's how this network will grow. We also publish a daily written intel brief on Substack, where you'll find even deeper coverage of Russia and China, along with insights on the Middle East and the DPRK. This is free for Substack subscribers. Starting January 16th, new Substack subscribers will move to a paid model. If you're already subscribed on Substack before then, nothing changes. You'll keep full access to everything, free, forever. New subscribers after January 15th will receive the daily written brief, weekly deep dives on economics, sanctions, and more for a monthly fee. So if you're not on Substack yet, don't worry. Just head to restrictedhandling.com and subscribe now for free and get the content free forever.